Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the participants here and the panelists who have joined this time. We are facing a slight bug in the WebEx system. We are not able to project the video somehow. Our apologies, but hopefully we'll get this sorted out. But without any further delay, I would like to introduce Professor Charmaine Dean, the Vice President, Research and International at the University of Waterloo, to provide her welcoming remarks. Charmaine, please.
Hello, everyone. It's a little bit odd. I'd love to be able to have you here in person at the University of Waterloo. And with the video platform, I'd also love for you to be able to see each other and to see me during this time. But let's move on, and we can sort these problems out as we move on. It's really important at this time for leaders around the world with knowledge and expertise in science and technology to come together in a forum like this. The virtual world has offered us so many opportunities that have expanded our horizons in being able to bring teams together virtually. And as you know, universities have typically a hard time pivoting, and yet we've seen such tremendous pivoting, not just in universities, but in businesses. A lot of transformation is happening around the world as we operate with multiple transformations in the teaching and the research side. And on top of that, we're all operating in more complex systems where we have to work harder to understand dynamics and interaction. As we all grapple with these sorts of unusual circumstances and the uncertainty, of course, many people are feeling a vulnerability they've never felt before. You know, as a statistician, I would say that we're accustomed thinking about probabilities and uncertainties, but most individuals in everyday life, we like to have a box of certainty around us. And right now, in our times right now, there is so little. That box of certainty is so small, and the wealth of uncertainty that's around us from day to day is so large. Nevertheless, we're working in science to move forward and bringing the whole concept of collaboration and working together into understanding driving forces behind the current situation, behind how we can have good health and clean water and food production and economic growth. And all of this in a framework that surrounds the Sustainable Development Goals. We know that this pandemic has drawn attention to the importance of social good and embracing global prosperity. And we've brought bright minds together to enhance ingenuity and to help us in this forum today. I'd like to offer a special thank you. I'm sure Sushanta is working hard with the tech team right now and may not even hear me, but I'd like to offer a very special thank you to Sushanta and his team at Waterloo Institute for Nanotechnology for organizing this international workshop on nanotechnology for a sustainable future. This whole area, and indeed a pivotal piece in Waterloo's strategic plan, is interdisciplinary research. And nanotechnology is certainly driven by interdisciplinary research and plays such an important role in contributing to and ultimately meeting the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that have been outlined by the United Nations to address environmental, political, and economic challenges that are really impacting our world every day. Our institute, we're so proud that it brings expertise and research together to collaborate on ideas and applications, and it's really key in exploring topics like the future of energy, healthcare, and ICT through the sustainability lens that's related to society and resource management. Those of you who are joining us internationally may be interested in hearing that the federal government has as a key pillar for economic recovery the whole climate and sustainability file. And we'll be looking to the government and to our Institute of Nanotechnology to fit into emerging programs and proposals that would drive forward on some of these areas over the next several years. So Canadian and health policy political leaders remind us that we're also at a crucial stage in the pandemic. Control of the virus is really critical to keeping our economy alive. But even so, meeting the sustainability goals is also imperative that we can ensure future prosperity, and a future prosperity that's been grounded in and existed in recent years, and also takes good account of inequities and a diverse and equitable society. I'd like to thank the participants who have joined us and everyone who's come together today. We've got representation from Australia, from Japan, from the Netherlands, from the US and Canada to play a key role in driving the future through your contributions to the development of a new network for sustainable nanotechnology. I'd also like to have a special thank you to leaders who join me in offering remarks and who demonstrate the commitment from the leadership within their organizations. And also a warm welcome to our high caliber lineup of speakers who represent leading organizations in nanotechnology. Sushantra, I wonder if you would like to take over in leading the remarks from our leaders of organizations. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you so much, Charmaine, for your opening remarks. Now, may I request Her Excellence Ines Koppos, who is the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to Canada, located in Ottawa. Please.
Right. Thank you, Sushantra, and thank you so much, Madam Vice President. I must say I feel humble among those distinguished academics and scientists, but there's a reason for me as Dutch ambassador to want to say a few words. First of all, because of the unique bond between the Netherlands and Canada. This year we celebrated the fact that Canadian troops played a substantial role in liberating the Netherlands 75 years ago. So it's only logical for a country like the Netherlands that freedom means everything. Freedom to express oneself, to write or to think whatever you like, and to publish whatever you want to share with others. But also, of course, academic freedom. Students in the Netherlands are encouraged to investigate and research in a multidisciplinary way. I have a daughter of 18 years old, and she just started studying in the Netherlands. And I must say I'm really jealous and amazed by the crossover choices that she can make between academic fields, but also between institutions. And in my opinion, that flexibility may lead to broader horizons. The second reason for me to say a few words is that both Canada and the Netherlands are such strong supporters of the Sustainable Development Goals. And like the Waterloo Institute, the Dutch diplomatic network has linked its economic and innovation work to the SDGs. Now, what does my country do to maintain its position as one of the front runners in nanotechnology? Well, first of all, we have made STEM research one of our priorities. And secondly, our national nanotechnology R&D initiative combines the Dutch regional strength and industrial relevance in a national network. So we are very pleased with the international collaboration between the Waterloo Institute and the Netherlands, including with its counterpart MESA Plus and the University of Waterloo's partnership with the University of Twente. And of course, I'm proud that so many speakers from the Netherlands join us today and tomorrow. So, in conclusion, the diplomatic missions of the Netherlands in Canada strongly support the initiative of the Waterloo Institute for Nanotechnology to create a network for sustainable nanotechnology. So I wish you a wonderful, inspiring and challenging conference, and I look forward to learn from the many distinguished speakers you have invited. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind remarks. Now may I request Dr. Alejandro Adam, President, National Sciences and Engineering Research Council, NSERC Canada, for his remark as well.
Thank you, Sushanta. It's a great pleasure to be here with you, virtually visiting the University of Waterloo. And Charmaine, it's good to hear your voice. So I can be there in person. And Madam Ambassador, thank you so much for your remarks. And it's great to know that Canada and Netherlands are such close friends and partners in science and technology. So I'm the president of the Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada. We're the largest funder of science taking place at the universities across Canada. And we have a special place in our hearts for science and engineering, and in particular, nanotechnology. Over the past 10 years, we've provided approximately $500 million in funding for nanotechnology across a wide variety of fields, including material sciences, energy storage and conversion, manufacturing processes, biomedical engineering, information, computer and communication technologies, polymers, rubber and plastics, environment, life sciences, materials performance, energy resources, etc., etc. It's clearly one of the key and central areas for science and engineering, not only in Canada, but all over the world. And it's fantastic to see such strong international participation in this event. Now, the Waterloo Institute for Nanotechnology, which is headed by Sushanta, is really a point of pride for Canada and for NSERC. So I really want to commend Sushanta for his great efforts to develop and further the aims, the goals of nanotechnology in the context of what this conference is talking about, which is a sustainable future. So for us, sustainability is, of course, the most important objective. Once we get through this pandemic, which I'm sure we will still be facing the even bigger crisis of climate change and all sorts of different issues associated to the sustainable challenge. And I'm sure that the community will rise up, will be able to address this challenge in the years to come. Now, one of the priorities of NSERC is to make sure that we are funding scientists and engineers in a way that creates a group of scientists and engineers that really represent Canada. And what I'm talking about is often called equity, diversity, and inclusion. For me, it's personally, we have a commitment. I have a commitment towards encouraging and promoting EDI across all of our programs. Now, if based on this panel we have here represented with Sushanta, Charmaine, we have an engineer, we have a statistician. Myself, I am a mathematician, so I think we're starting very well in terms of diversity just in this first group of speakers. And I want to encourage you to, whenever possible, be inclusive, to open opportunities for young people. Science and engineering is a wonderful thing to really excite and bring people into fields of knowledge. And once they've learned these techniques, once they've learned about them being applied to things like nanotechnology, that can really change their careers, indeed change their lives. And I really encourage you to think from that perspective. Now, nanotechnology, I understand, has also played a role in the development of vaccines that we've been reading about over the past week or so. I believe the Pfizer vaccine made use of certain nanomedical techniques developed by faculty professors in Canada. So I think there's the technology of nanotechnology is really a key for many different aspects of human survival and human thriving. So I want to celebrate what you do and encourage you then to have what hopefully be a very successful and productive meeting. Now, NSERC has a number of programs that can support research in nanotechnology and in particular international partnerships. One of my colleagues, Mark Fortin, the Vice President for Research Partnerships, will be giving a presentation. And the program is called Alliance, and now it's being reconfigured to include international participants, universities, companies, governments, etc. And I encourage you to listen to his talk and also ask me questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alejandro, for your kind comments and opening remarks. So next we have Dr. Mishinaro Nari Hamaguchi, who is the president of the Japan Science and Technology Agency, JST. Dr. Hamaguchi is unable to join us live at this point. However, he has provided a video which will be played now.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening anyway. Dear participants of this online workshop, I am Michinari Hamaguchi, President of JST, Japan Science and Technology Agency. It is a great pleasure to co-organize this international workshop on nanotechnology for a sustainable future. As you may know, COVID-19 affects everyone. It prevents us from moving freely and having live workshops as we used to. Yet by holding today's event online, we can more easily welcome researchers from Canada, Netherlands, Australia, and Japan. So this new normal, this new way of working also has advantages. Although we are on different sides of the planet, we have the same passion and motivation to work together for new innovation despite the pandemic. I am very much encouraged by the solidarity of our colleagues around the world in attempting to overcome the unprecedented crisis. And I am very much confident that we will succeed. In particular, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sushanta Mitra of the University of Waterloo and to all those involved from each country for their efforts to make this online international workshop happen. We will continue to suffer from waves of COVID-19 outbreaks. Actually, in Japan, south waves seem to be started. We have to stay vigilant and prepared. Of course, medical solutions such as vaccine and medicines should be our top priority to fight against the pandemic. However, other disciplines such as IT, AI, materials engineering, and social science can do a lot too. At JST, we have accelerated multidisciplinary research for COVID-19 by mobilizing these sciences and technologies so that we can detect viruses, block infection, and create a clean environment. We call this multidisciplinary approach as Plan B, alongside the medical approach as Plan A. I believe a multidisciplinary approach is key to solving the various and complex social challenges of the future. Nanotechnology itself draws upon a diverse set of fields, including physics, engineering, materials science, and more, making today's workshop a perfect venue to explore the benefits of multidisciplinary interaction. I hope discussions between leading researchers in their field will stimulate new multidisciplinary, multinational collaboration and help make a more sustainable and resilient society for all. Thank you very much for your attention.
So now I will request the Professor Ben Eglinton, who is the Executive Director of University of Sydney Nano Institute. Ben, please.
Sushanta, thanks. Absolutely wonderful to be here today with you from my office in Sydney. Really appreciate your leadership, Sushanta, for pulling this together in these circumstances. I had planned to visit earlier this year, and I'm sure we'll get there. A number of my colleagues are joining in this session today. We look forward to the session today and tomorrow morning. It's also great to connect with other colleagues. Albert, we were hoping to host you in Sydney. Paul Weiss, we actually did host you in Sydney just before COVID earlier this year. So a great gathering indeed. So very briefly, Sydney Nano is a relatively new institute at the University of Sydney. We are one of the flagship multidisciplinary initiatives. I like to say mission directed. We very much sit at the nexus of science, engineering and medicine. We have also very good engagement with social sciences, humanities, policy, business, design, architecture. So I think we are indeed a whole of university. Our flagship initiatives are our so-called Grand Challenge projects, which anchor in material science and life science, and sustainability has been very central to those projects. In particular, the UN Sustainability Goals were part of the criteria for forming those projects. As we move to our next phase, in 2020, 2021, we have established a number of research networks on nano health and more recently on smart sustainable buildings. And clearly that is very well aligned with the conversation we're having today. The University of Sydney now has a sustainability strategy, and we are aligning with that and plan to use the University of Sydney campus as a living lab to demonstrate many of the innovations that will come from our research. So I look forward to this wonderful event. It's great to catch up with you. I wish you all the best. Hope to see you again in person and look forward to the next few days. Thanks.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciated. So now I will request Professor Paul Weiss, Distinguished Professor, University of California at Los Angeles, and also the Editor-in-Chief, ACS Nano, for his welcoming remarks.
Well, thank you all so much for coming. I'll echo the previous remarks that it's too bad that we can't all be in Waterloo together. I did have the pleasure of visiting very recently. And I think what I'd like to share is what is probably the most special thing about nanotechnology, and it has nothing to do with size. And that is because our community developed from scientists and engineers and clinicians from chemistry, physics, electrical engineering, medicine, toxicology, and mechanical engineering and so forth, all coming together and sharing problems and approaches and developing new tools and new approaches to address those problems, we've developed a unique set of communication skills. That was one of the conclusions of when we went back and looked at the first decade of the National Nanotechnology Initiative in the United States, where we tried to justify why we had been supported at over $1 billion a year and why we hoped there would be a second decade of such support. And so I'm really delighted that we're turning our attention to the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals here. And I really appreciate how the University of Waterloo's Nano Center, led by Professor Mitra, focuses on those. So I encourage everyone to join forces and to see what the nanoscience and nanotechnology community can do for the world. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. So let me just conclude this opening remarks session as through some of my thoughts. This idea of having this workshop came into some sort of through a nebulous discussion that I had with President Hamaguchi when we were together in the World Science Forum in Budapest, actually over a nice dinner cruise, and we talked about it, and then followed by a number of meetings at JST in Tokyo, Japan, then bounced this idea with my colleagues in Sydney Nano, as well as my colleagues in Netherlands, Mesaplas, and of course with Paul Weiss. So we see that this is a growing interest in the nanotechnology community to see how we can work together across the different disciplines within the nanotechnology to create a more sustainable and just future. So this is the incredible starting of this workshop, and our team here at the WIN, particularly Lisa Pokrajic and Isabella McKenzie, has been working hard with a number of you, with all of the panelists, with the speakers to ensure that we create a very strong and synergistic program for the next today, this evening, as well as tomorrow morning and evening as well, our local time. So we are really thankful that you were able to join in, and stay tuned, and we will be back at the session 1, which is the nanotechnology and society, policy and science diplomacy, which will kickstart at 5:50 local time here in Waterloo, Canada. So stay tuned, and we will be back shortly. Thank you.